On this episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, we talk about the new Pimento cheese Cajun Fillet biscuit, our thoughts on Baltimore, and our very special guest, Eric Line with 1812 BBQ. All that and more on this episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, where it's two guys' take on life, liberty, and the pursuit of gravy, and you, the listener, are getting a degree in common sense. We are broadcasting from the Busted Knuckles studio right here in beautiful downtown historic Concord, North Carolina. I'll be your host, Biggin, and how about you? We've got a great show lined up for you, as always, but before we begin, let me introduce you to the second half of this flaky biscuit. That's right, I'm talking about the pride of Anderson, South Carolina, but most of you probably know him best as the Silver Tongue One, 2016's Democratic National Convention spokesperson, the inventor of the redneck egg roll. Give it up on old mic number one, it's Mojo!
Just like the Democratic debate last night, this show is free. Today only. Yeah, anyway, appreciate you guys tuning in as always. You can go to our website at southernfryphilosophy.com. You can find our playable links there. Any show notes we have as far as our guests, sponsorships, you can check those links out. Producer Brian has been doing a great job of putting our show notes in, a lot better than we did our previous 90-something episodes.
How about you?
You can check us out on the Facebooks at Southern Fried Philosophy. You can also check us out on SFP Radio at Twitters and Instagram. Our Patreon link, patreon.com/SFP Radio. Also, wherever you download your podcasts, if it's Google Play, Stitcher, Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Podcoin, which is a new one we're kind of digging right now, and a few others, just go there and look for Southern Fried Philosophy. Just hit the heart, the subscribe, the like, whatever you like, whatever you got to do there to just get our weekly uploads. We usually upload on Mondays. You get fresh content in your podcast app there, and yeah, just you can take a listen there and kind of go from there.
Yeah. Mojo mentioned our Patreon link. Guys, we appreciate you listening to us. As I've mentioned several times on the show, it is free to you to listen to, but it's not free to us. We have expenses that we incur to bring you this content. However, to make the show better, to increase the content, have better guests, and frequency, we need your help. That's where we'll point you to our Patreon link on our website, southernfriedphilosophy.com. There you're going to find 3 levels that you can help the show with: the life, liberty, or the pursuit of gravy. Each one of you, those gets you special access to the SFP Insider Facebook page, a new show that we're going to start called SFP After Dark, and any other merch that we have: hats, t-shirts, magnets, coasters, what have you.
Not to be confused with Cinemax After Dark.
Well, maybe. It depends. It depends. So we need your help. Go to southernfriedphilosophy.com and you can join the SFP family and become an SFP Insider. If you would also like to hang out with us at the studio, shoot us an email at sfpradio@gmail.com, and you yourself could be sitting in the Bad Mother Smokers smoking hot seats. Also, if you would like, for our listeners only, you can download the States Vegas app free. Use promo code Mojo, and you can listen to us on that app Monday at 6 p.m. and Friday at 4 p.m. In studio with us today, we have Mr. Wizard Childers.
Hey, guys.
We will be having our special guest, Eric from 1812 BBQ, and Jonathan may be making his way into the studio at some point.
Yeah, he's about to be a married man, so by the time you get this episode Monday, he will have tied the knot and be on his honeymoon.
How about you?
I'm nervous for him.
That Kentucky Chew. That's all I got to say.
Life is short. Let's have fun. So.
I've got a new event. I want you to go ahead and put this down on your calendar. September 4th, we will be at the Hunter House and Garden in Huntersville. Our special guest will be Matthew Doherty. He's the Atlantic 10 Conference Commissioner. We're going to be hanging out with Leon from Watchman Cigars, and this is going to be our first mobile. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Outside
Should be interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you tell me November 4th?
I said November 4th, but
it's really
it's September 4th.
So maybe you just didn't want me to show up.
Well, no, it's
that's
on your calendar.
That's pretty common.
I was an idiot and just said November for some reason.
Well, no, that's just pretty common. I usually get invited to things, but it's usually a day later, $1 short. So a lot of times people.
I could have swore I told you.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're late to this, I'm going to be late to it because we're on the same calendar invite.
That's right.
So there's that. I got a podcast question for us. Ask Us Anything was the podcast question of the week. And John Harris, one of our friends, asked us about the Confederate flag. What are our thoughts about it? And should Mississippi get the Confederate flag away?
Okay. Well, little context. My family, born and bred here in the South, from South Carolina. My great grandfather actually fought for the 13th Regiment of the Confederacy in South Carolina, from out of Greenville, and I have no opinion of the flag really, because to me it's just a flag. I mean, it's just a banner. It doesn't represent me. You know, I know a lot of people in the argument of heritage versus hate and stuff like that. As far as a flag, it doesn't represent me. It doesn't represent anything. I think there's a lot of baggage with that flag also. Yeah. I think that, you know, when we had Derek Grayson on from Georgia talking about if you're going to fly that flag, and he has no problem with anybody flying the flag, right. You need to know the whole baggage that comes with it. Mm-hmm. And after reading, Derek Grayson has been a libertarian candidate for like state house or state senate in Georgia several times. So he's a black gentleman. So I appreciate it. I value his opinion, his commentary. And once I read an article on he wrote about the Confederacy or Confederate flag, as far as people's opinions behind it, I really kind of changed my stance. And this is something that just happened a few years ago. Yeah. You know, I would never fly one just because that's just not me. I'm not going to dress up in a Confederate Speedo and go to the beach, or wear,
Thank goodness.
Wear one of these colors don't run T-shirts. Or, that's just not me. I'm not one of those guys. I wear a black T-shirt every day and a pair of jeans, and that's just who I am. That's you. But yeah, I mean, I respect the people that, in their free speech and their ability to fly that. I do think there's a place and time for it. I do believe that it can be considered a symbol of hate for some people, but we're so far removed from that also that none of us have the direct impact. We all have a lineage and direct impact. I mean, my great-great-grandfather was not some land baron plantation holder in the South. He was just a schmuck that, you know, lived in a dirt floor house and was a farmer, you know, for someone else. So we have no direct ties to anything that involved with the Confederacy. I'm not a big fan of it flying on state grounds, or county grounds or city grounds, because I think that can be very polarizing. I don't have any problem with the monuments. I think that, you can honor your dead in a respectful way. Not saying that, you know, these rebels or whatever. I mean, these are still citizens of a country. Right. And I believe you can. Everyone's not a terrorist. Everyone's not can be aligned with the policies. Most of these guys that enlisted in the Confederacy had no clue who Andrew Johnson was or what the New South was. These guys were just uneducated plowboys. So
that's a good point.
So, you know, you can't associate with guilt there. As far as like I think part of his question was also the Mississippi flag still has the rebel stars and bars on it, whatever. It's been the flag there for that long. I don't know. These things aren't triggers for me, so I really don't have a dog in this fight. But I think if we're going to look at flags and ban these things for hurtful feelings, whatever, then, you know, that's kind of we always talk about slippery slopes. Yeah. I think that could be a slippery slope, because how many other flags out there that may offend people or trigger them? Look at the LGBTQ flag, and that may trigger people. Look at the La Raza, which is which literally means the race. It's a Mexican pride organization. They have a La Raza flag. Look at the Black Power flag. Look at POW flag. That may trigger people that are, you know, maybe immigrants from Vietnam, or who knows? Yeah. You know, so this is really a slippery slope where we can start diving down into things. Things that does irritate me is when people either they take like the Confederate flag and run with it. You know, they hang at their house, they run down the street in their their SUV. You can do what you want, but that's not the extension of love. Right. That's not the extension that we love thy neighbor, because those are things that can be misconstrued.
Yeah, and part of it could be, digging your thumb into that wound when you intentionally are running that flag, like you say, and you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, that you're causing people to have triggers, or you're just making them mad or angry. And I agree on 100%. If it's not out of love, then
yeah. And as far as digging a wound, I don't know what wounds we would have. We're, now 150 plus years removed from the end of slavery. What direct wounds do we have? I mean, that would be like me saying my family was an Irish immigrants here. We were brought over here for servitude due to a debt and accumulated in Ireland. So should the British flag, UK flag, should that trigger me?
No, and I understand that point. I'm just saying, like, you're flying it because you yourself are racist, and you're putting in like, hey, I'm doing this because I know it's going to make people mad.
I think there's some people that do that, but also, in the motorcycle community, especially in this area, Confederate flag is a symbol. And just like the SS lightning bolts, and that doesn't, people that wear SS lightning bolts doesn't necessarily mean they're avid Nazis. SS lightning bolts traditionally have been in the motorcycle world. There's something that the GIs brought back and were putting on their motorcycles in the 50s. It didn't mean they were Nazis. Hell, they fought against Nazism. So it has nothing to do with it. So the Confederate flag to a lot of people has no meaning of there's some people out there. Yeah, it is a racist symbol. Those guys carry tiki torches and and do ludicrous marches and things like that.
Right.
And then there's other people that have no clue of the history, that are just genuinely proud to be Southern, genuinely proud that they can cook fried green tomatoes and skin a raccoon. I mean, you
don't need to hang the flag just because of that. Anyway.
But I mean, I agree. You don't need to, but if people want to use it for decor, have at it. I mean, you're not going to hurt my feelings.
I feel bad about the General Lee. Like, how does he stand on it?
That's what I was going to say. Is like we lost Dukes of Hazzard because of this, right? They pretty much wiped it off the map,
right? And I think, and also when you have to start, but also Dukes of Hazzard also lost its show, its syndication on TV.
Yeah, I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought you were talking about the car because Bubba Watson, a famous golfer, actually had one of the original General Lees and actually painted over the rebel flag during this whole tear it down monument fiasco we had. I think
I would have put a sticker over it.
Yeah, I mean, before long, we're going to be watching History Channel. Anytime the Nazi flag comes up, they're going to be like the little pixelated, screenshots over these flags and stuff like that. I mean, it's just. It's beating a dead horse, man.
I'm going to go something that's almost as equally offensive or challenging. Melissa asked us, what's going on with this pear salad in the South?
Now, this is called Great Divide.
Sure.
Maybe
you've got the Confederate flag and the pear salad.
The pear salad has caused many fights at a family reunion.
It has.
So Melissa asked what's up with this pear salad. Now, pear salad, for those out there who like John, who asked the Confederate question, he lives in Scotland. So
you may not know what a pear salad is.
So this is for all our international listeners and anyone that is not.
Wait, chill, you don't know?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So pear salad. If you're born anywhere west of the Mississippi River or north of the Mason-Dixon line and outside the 48 United States or 48 states of the United States,
where are you from?
I'm from here.
And you never heard of it?
All right. I mean, you're talking like the pear thing with like the pecans in it?
No.
What's a pear salad?
All right. So pear salad. Pear salad is
it is?
Well, I wouldn't call it an hors d'oeuvre, but it is usually served at like family functions, potlucks, church gatherings, things like that. It's just a simple kind of a dessert, kind of a unique dessert, I would say.
Yeah. Sure.
It's not really an entree. It's really not a savory item. It's kind of more of a dessert item, I would say.
It's like an appetizer, a dessert appetizer, maybe.
Dessertizer.
Like you eat it with your meal, but it's kind of on the side a little bit.
But see, that's what we do. When we get,
it's a little sweet.
When we have these family hookups, these family reunions, these church gatherings, these potlucks, you get a plate. It's usually a Chinette oval, 3-compartment or flat.
I like those.
And you load this plate up with just copious amounts of food that you're instantly going to regret 15 minutes
later.
All
right, so what's the pear salad?
All right, so pear salad, usually one of these items could be a pear salad. Now, pear salad, to properly make it, you got to get a cheap quality in the can pear.
Libby's would be a good option.
Libby's. Dole's like going high class. But usually if you get the grocery store brand, you're all right. But so you have these stripped down pears that are in simple syrup in a can. So you have these pear halves. They're missing the skin. They have no seeds or cord. So you have this, looks like if anyone's ever seen an avocado, you take the avocado with the seed out. So you have this one that's basically the same shape as a pear. Yep. So anyway, you put a dollop of mayonnaise. It preferably Duke's.
Of course.
Because, anything else, you're really just pissing in the wind. You do shredded cheese. It has to be sharp cheddar. And also you can actually add extra sharp cheddar, which is also the New York cheddar cheese. And then usually a maraschino cherry.
Yeah. And it's quite delicious.
It's actually not a bad thing. That's kind of the acidity of the pear, and you had the fat from the mayonnaise and the cheese, and then that kind of that maraschino then the maraschino cherry kind of rounds it off. So it's actually a really good item.
Yeah.
I don't see them a lot anymore just because it's one of those old items. It's kind of like deviled eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And, you like deviled eggs?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of deviled eggs, but they got to be made right, and they can't be sitting at the picnic for hours.
And you and I have talked about this. The deviled eggs, for me, has to have the pickles.
I can't stand
You
it.
hate the pickles.
I can't do it.
Like mixed in?
Yeah.
You have to have relish.
Relish.
No, I don't need to have that.
Oh, God.
I can't do bread and butter.
Oh, I don't
love
sweet
butter.
pickle.
I can't stand sweet pickles.
Are you kidding me?
Thank you.
They're gross.
Ooh, I'd rather look to the bottom of your shoe than eat a bread and butter pickle. It's just gross. But speaking of deviled eggs, deviled eggs. I like when I do deviled eggs, I like a lot of dry mustard powder. The yellow yolk mix, I like that kind of sharpness you get, the spiciness you get from dry mustard. I really like that.
A little dill in there is good too.
Also, if you change it up, use a little smoked paprika. Ooh,
it almost sounds like you two might need your own show. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
What do you know?
The Food Confederacy.
All right. Well, this has been a long intro, but I'm going to ask you like I ask you every week. Mojo, I be darned.
Life is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, life is good. I have no complaints. Nothing really interesting I can think of, except, we did have a moving truck, a full 18-wheeler pull into our neighborhood today with no cul-de-sac to turn around in. So luckily I pulled in and had to help the guy back out.
Wow.
I had a couple neighbors move cars so we could actually back it out into the driveway.
Wow.
And of course, some of the little biddies, the neighbors out there, because if you ever live in an HOA, a homeowner, for our international listeners, here in the States, I'm sure in some other countries too, you have homeowners associations where you basically have these little neighborhoods or a commune where people have like a little mini not really a republic like our United States, but a democracy. It's really not even a democracy. It's more like a dictatorship, really.
Sure.
And
it's like Hitler and Stalin combined.
You have voted leaders, and they come up with stupid rules like make sure you don't have any grass in your cracks and things like that.
To be clear, we're talking about our sidewalks and driveways.
Well, actually, I'll tell you about that later.
Oh boy.
So anyway, me and another guy were out there helping the driver trying to back out, while other neighbors were out there waiting for him to run on the curb in their grass, hit the sign. I mean, come on, people. I mean, I'm sure you've had a bad day at work where you would love maybe someone to step in and be like, hey, I got you, buddy.
Yeah.
No, these people are out there with their phones, videotaping this guy. Yelling at him.
For a lawsuit,
yelling at him. Oh, man, yeah, absolutely. So, but besides that, that's the only really fun, adventurous thing I've had. My girls are in Atlanta today.
How about you?
Yeah, so I'm batching it for a couple of days. So. But besides that, good. How you be doing? I'm
good. One interesting story, the worst 18-wheeler issue that I've ever seen. My wife, family, the in-laws, every year we go trout fishing, and there's this 2-lane, 1.5 lane road, and it winds around, and it's in northern Georgia. You've been to Clayton, Georgia?
Oh, yeah.
And so the windy roads.
Oh, yeah.
This is a gravel windy road brought to you by the state. It's just for trout fishing, camping, those type of things. Well, we were coming back one day, and we saw this 18-wheeler just stuck probably about 3 or 4 miles in, and he realized this is not the place I need to go. So he's trying to back out this windy road 3 or 4 miles. I mean, God bless a bear. Yeah. He was in trouble.
We've seen things like that before, especially here in part of North Carolina where we're at. You have roads called the Dragon or the Tell the Dragon, things like that. These are like, maybe a 7-mile stretch with 113 curves, 113 curves, 114 curves in it. And, we've been on these things before, motorcycle rides where you have a transfer truck who, there's just not enough diameter and turning radius to actually cross these curves, and they've dumped their trailers down the side of hills. We've seen that before, and so I can imagine. I would hate to be that guy's underwear backing out, a gravel road. I mean, in all seriousness. Just
to give some perception, like it's hard for my father-in-law's big dually truck to get through, much less his 18-wheeler. So I thought that was
when you have to get either have to cut that trailer up in pieces or get a Chinook helicopter to airlift that thing out of there. Sure. So how you be doing? Hey, just ask Brian how he's doing.
How you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited for our guests. Actually.
Yeah, me too. Our guest is Eric from 1812 Barbecue, so he'll be coming on, hopefully bringing some food. So I'm excited about that. For me, can I tell you, my life has been utterly changed. Is it
a new love?
It is
a new car?
No car. No. We have mentioned on the show how much we love Bojangles biscuits. We love Bojangles biscuits.
Out of all the fast food chains, this one has it basically has the thing down. I don't know if they look at retirement communities and hire the most elderly hands they can, but
for the love.
Yeah.
Well, if you can't get in as a Walmart greeter, you go make biscuits. The other way around.
I think it's the other way around. The biscuit rejects are going to Walmart.
You go stand at Walmart.
Yeah. Okay. But they do, and I'll even argue, they probably do some of the better biscuits anywhere. Yeah. Not just like fast food.
I agree.
But they have a Cajun Fillet biscuit, which is chicken fillet. It's a little bit spicy, so it's not like your traditional Chick-fil-A. It's a little bit spicy. But gentlemen, let me tell you, they've added pimento cheese to said biscuit and chicken fillet.
That is, I think producer Brian was asking, I wonder what the calorie count on that bad boy.
You don't know. You just go for it.
If you have to ask, you just don't even go.
We'll talk about people eating.
I wonder how a Bojangles biscuit would be topped with pimento cheese and a Krispy Kreme donut. I'm just throwing that out there.
Hey, buddy. I'm telling you, this is a game changer. It is a life changer. And evidently, you can put pimento cheese on anything for 69 cents. And it's good. It's good pimento cheese.
How about some boat rounds with pimento cheese?
Yeah, or on the dirty rice or something like that.
See, I like a cheeseburger with pimento cheese. I'm also picky about my pimento cheese also. It's kind of like the deviled eggs.
It's good pimento cheese. Okay. It is big and approved.
See, I'm not a big fan of pimento cheese that has pimentos in it.
I didn't see pimentos.
See, when I make my own pimento cheese at home, I actually take red peppers, fire roast them, and then take all the peeling off and then chop them up and then add the cheese and mayonnaise and stuff.
Come on with it.
But yeah, I don't like pimentos. They're kind of sweet, a little sweeter for me than
like a jalapeno pimento cheese is good.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll get on board with that.
I like a bacon jalapeno pimento cheese. That's some good stuff too.
All right, so let's go into some wacky news brought to you by 1812 Barbecue, our new sponsor. We were very excited to have them on the show for tonight. So you're going to learn more about 1812 here in just a minute. So let me tell you the most ridiculous study that's ever been done on the face of the earth. Here's the title: Overweight people really do enjoy eating their food more than other adults. Study finds.
No crap, Sherlock.
I could have told you this for $1.50 and given you the same results. There's never been a time where I have eaten or asked for dessert because I was full. I got dessert because I wanted dessert, right?
You will sit in misery.
Sure.
I've done it before.
and just enjoy it and be okay with it.
Like last week when we went to Krispy Kreme, I ate a full dozen by myself in the parking lot, and I hated myself, but then I felt good about myself afterwards too. So
sure, you have that little sense of pride. Food tastes better to fat people, and it may be fueling the obesity crisis. The research suggests the key factor in overeating is that people like to eat, and they like the pleasure of food. Well, duh.
Who's this? The study was provided by 1-800-JENNY Craig, I guess.
It's Iowa University. Did a study, and they got some Big Mama What-Whats and some Ada Moon Pies and some Fat Fi Fat sorority and fraternity folks, and they gave them this disclaimer: we want you to eat as much chocolate as you want, and just rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how much you enjoy it. The participants ate between 2 and 51 pieces of chocolate. The bigger,
how many participants were in this study?
290. That's a lot of chocolate.
There's only 287 left alive.
The researchers found that the people that were bigger ate more food, ate more of the chocolate, and it took them longer to say, I don't want to eat any more of this chocolate. Well, duh. I mean, guys, that's just kind of normal, right? Is that not just common sense?
How many tax dollars went to this study, I wonder?
There's no telling. No telling.
It's like the study of like the sexual habits of rats in Baltimore.
Or what you've said, well, we'll talk about that one later. But you said before that the government does a study of the consistency
of ketchup.
Yeah. Like, it is just as pointless, this study, as the ketchup study. Fat people like to eat. How about you?
Oh, wow. Ooh.
Didn't see that coming.
Breaking news.
Yeah. I mean, guys, eating food is just fun.
It's a sport. It's a hobby.
Especially
as many buffets we have around here, you'd think it would be.
Sure.
I'm not sure they took the right medium for that. Like chocolate, for me, I'd eat a little bit of chocolate. I'm not going to eat 50 pieces of chocolate. But you put a couple of just boxes of New York style pizza or something,
or
cheeseburgers, or pimento cheese Cajun Fillet biscuits.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah, I will eat those until
Krispy Kreme,
or Krispy Kreme. I just don't understand the study. I mean, could have told you that.
Well, thanks for pissing away $1.5 million on that study, because I'm sure there was a tune of a big bucks there. That's what we need to do, is come up with our own study, something that's totally stupid, get paid for it, have $1,000 in it, and write a paper. I think we should do that.
Well, here's an update to a story that we brought to you earlier. The mystery of the In-N-Out burger has been solved.
So last week we had a perfectly wrapped In-N-Out burger was found in Brooklyn, I guess?
Queens.
Okay.
Yep.
And, the closest In-N-Out burger is like 23,000 miles away from there. So it's kind of an oddball, this burger stuck in a food desert. So there you go.
Yep. It turns out that a 16-year-old teenager named Helen Vivas DM'd the couple who found the original burger and said that it's actually mine. You may not believe it, but she was flying from San Diego, coming home to New York. She got 4 of the said burgers. She had it on a bag. She told the people at In-N-Out, hey, I'm flying across country. How can I keep this the best way preserved? They said, don't put the sauce on it. That'll keep the bun in a more pristine thing. And they gave her a side of the sauce, and then you can eat it. So she put it on her lap while she flew all the way over. She had it on a bag. Well, she was late for her bus, so she was running, and evidently the bag broke. Dropped one of the burgers. She picked up the others, didn't get that one, and then got on the bus and realized she is missing a burger.
Ooh.
So that's how the burger ended up in Queens. You look puzzled.
I have a very serious question. How do you get an In-N-Out burger through the TSA line?
Oh.
This is like...
because you can't bring your own food and drink, right?
Food.
You can't.
Because it might be a C4 burger or something.
I've been on flights before where people brought their own food,
but they bought it from inside of the little.
But is it inside out? I actually have a.
Oh, there could have been
a kiosk.
There could have been a kiosk
in the airport.
Yeah. There's.
You're going to San Diego. You can tell us if you fly in if there's an In-N-Out. Burger.
I'll tell you how.
There's not one in the San Francisco airport.
So that's how it happened.
I'm kind of curious about that. Yeah.
It wasn't a time traveler. I was really hoping it was.
We were way off, and it wasn't a pop-up restaurant either coming. I thought so.
Nope.
But man, coincidentally, New York City cops will be now pressing charges for littering to the young lady.
Oh, goodness. All right, so let's go into some hot topics brought to you by Watchman Cigars. If you want a fantastic cigar at a reasonable price, check out our friends at Watchman Cigars. You can email them at Watchman_cigars1911 at yahoo.com, and you yourself can have a Watchman cigar. The views and opinions of Southern Fried Philosophy are not necessarily those of our guests, sponsors, or friends of the show, but they should be. All right, so let's head into this. And again, keep in mind that these are just our opinions. Sometimes I agree with you, sometimes I don't. But let's go ahead and talk. All
right, so hot topics. We'll go ahead and bring in our guest also with Eric Line. He's with 1812 Barbecue, one of our new sponsors. And we're just going to do some hot topics, and he's going to may chime in. So if you hear a fourth or fifth voice, it's not your Zoloft wearing off. It's actually our guest speaking too. So, yeah, there we go.
There you go. So you wanted to talk about Trump, I guess, and the racist Baltimore tweet.
That seemed to be the highlight for
Good gracious.
48 hours, 72 hours, I guess.
Can't stop, won't stop.
So we had some tweets from Trump about basically Baltimore being rat infested. I don't have those tweets in front of me.
I'm trying to get them.
All right.
So it says Cummings district is disgusting, rat and rodent infested mess. If he spent more time in Baltimore, maybe he could help clean up this very dangerous and filthy place. End quote from Donald J. Trump.
Well, what's your opinion on this?
I don't think that any of it is racist. I don't see anything in there where it talks about because you are of a different race that's why.
I don't think he referred to the people from Baltimore as rats either.
Right. Yeah. It was just saying that it's rat infested and rodent infested mess. I think it's also interesting to note that government, while Obama was in office, gave them $16 billion. Mm-hmm. Where did that go? Because it's not helping the city.
Well, they did implement a new river walk in Baltimore, which looks like another previous comment from his tweet, an S-hole.
What, was it million or billion?
Billion. I'm pretty sure it's billion. Yeah, we can't. What can you get for $1 million from the government now? Anyway,
That's true.
I mean, it's got to be in the B's now.
Yeah. So to me, I don't think that it was racist. I don't understand how that became a racist comment. It was just saying that you did a bad job. If you are a CEO, if you are a football coach, if you are an employee and you do a horrible job for so long, eventually what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. You're going to get canned, right? That doesn't seem to be the case with Mr. Cummings. So I stand behind the president's tweet and the fact that it is pretty nasty. In fact, there was a interview that they were doing in Baltimore. Right. I don't know if you saw that or not, where the news reporter...
You could not write a better script.
The news reporter was doing a story about how bad it was.
A live
story with trash in the background. And while there was trash in the background, the rat came out from behind the trash. You're like, well, there you go. So I don't see where that's racist. And quite frankly, it's just getting old to me. Just the whole racist. You're a racist because I disagree with you. I don't agree with that piece. What say you?
Well, I completely agree with it. I mean, it's, you've got other Representative Cummings himself said the same stuff about it 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the mayor was doing an interview on site, and she said, we need to burn this place down and start over again. Something to that effect. So, it's just another ploy.
All right, first off, so we have 5 sitting in the studio right now. Jonathan, also our Bourbon Trail buddy, is with us.
I feel like he was asleep for the past 10 minutes. Look at him.
Well, he is getting ready to
tie the knot
on this Saturday. So by the time you listen to this episode, hopefully he'll be listening to this episode on the airline over.
Well, and hopefully his wedding or honeymoon isn't in Baltimore. Let's hope for that.
Maybe you can find where that $16 billion is. So I've been to Baltimore on several occasions. Unfortunately, I have to drive through Baltimore to go to Philadelphia, which is another
West Philadelphia. Born and raised.
It is not Cheese Whiz and cheesesteaks there. I mean, you think you think the streets are overflowing when you think of Philadelphia, but it's not. I love Philadelphia. I love the people there.
I love the cream cheese. I legitimately love the cream cheese. They do make a great
cream cheese.
Yeah.
So, but see, I've been to Baltimore, and there's some nice areas of Baltimore, just like you have in any city.
Sure.
But you have, the HBO did not invest millions of dollars to make a show called The Wire based off of Baltimore because it was a fictional mystery fantasy world.
Now, I'll disagree with you on that because the WB or Fox spent a lot of money to recreate Gotham, and that's not real. So, boom.
All right, well, I'll raise it because Baltimore and The Wire, man, there's a lot of areas that are depressed like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people set up makeshift businesses in the middle of courtyards and apartment complexes with couches and stuff like that, peddling their wares. And I'm not necessarily saying, handmade baskets. I mean, there's a lot of crime and disparity there. Just a snippet of a crime statistic in Baltimore. In 2014, there was 211 homicides. Okay.
And 2014?
2014. So
211 in the whole city.
In 2018, they are currently at, 2018, they were at 411.
Wow. That's almost double.
Almost 100% increase.
My math is awesome.
And then I'm sure 2019, I'm sure they're probably trying to do a record-breaking year.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
why not? I mean,
Why not?
So when you have that kind of rampant crime, they've had 4 mayors resign in 3 years, or either 3 mayors in 4 years. I can't remember my statistics on that one, but due to corruption and misgoverning. If you don't remember Freddie Gray, the guy who was accidentally killed, whatever.
Oh yeah, in the back of the
police van who was arrested, and then they had the Black Lives Matter, hands up, don't shoot protest. Now, the city's mayor and city council is all black. All the cops were of color, Hispanic or black. This is a racist town or whatever. So it is not a good town to do business.
Sure.
It is not a good town to visit. Like if you're going to go to a Baltimore Ravens game, I mean, you got to bring out your nunchucks, your brass knuckles, your
the what chucks?
Nunchucks.
I think nunchucks. Nunchucks.
All right, nunchucks.
All right, sorry.
Nunchucks or nunchucks or numbskulls. I don't know.
Eric had thought nunchucks or numchucks.
I think it can go either way, numb or none. Okay. Depends on where you're raised.
Maybe you get numb after you get the nun.
Right.
Just say it real fast.
Yeah.
There'll be somebody that slows it down to see what I said. Now, Baltimore does have one thing going for it, is their blue crab restaurants.
How about
it? They do have some good blue crab cakes, but
good stuff.
Risk at your own peril. Great people there. I know some people in Baltimore, but man, it is not one place you'd be like, you know what, Disney World or Baltimore, kids.
Yeah, sure, of course.
My issue with Baltimore is like the city planning, like trying to drive around that town.
Right.
Is like nothing makes any sense at all. There's giant 4-lane one-ways that come out of nowhere.
Well, it's designed to trap you there.
Oh,
like if you get off, like the actual people from Baltimore, they may not be from Baltimore. They were probably from like Tulsa. They got lost and then couldn't find their way out. So they had to set up shop.
I'm just going to stay here.
Yeah. But I have had one of the best seafood restaurants I've ever eaten in my life. It's in Baltimore, right there in the middle of the harbor there. I don't forget what it's called. It's a seafood place. It's like kind of upscale. It's fantastic. I've been there a couple of times. It's one of the best restaurants.
There's some good restaurants, but man, it is. Last time I was in downtown Baltimore, they literally need to create an app for human excrement. I mean, there's so much human poop on the sidewalks.
I don't know where you keep seeing this poop from.
I'll take it down to Uptown Charlotte if you'd like to see it. But they need to do it. Now, keep in mind, Baltimore has been democratically controlled for the past 7,000 years or something like that. So yeah, I'll throw that out there.
If you are in the market for a high-quality cigar for a very reasonable price, you must check out Watchman Cigars. Watchman Cigars is a family-owned business that puts the customer first with the best customer service in the business. Watchman Cigars offers the Habano for a full, spicy flavor, the Connecticut for a mild, easy-to-smoke option, and the Maduro for a strong, powerful experience. They even do specialty blends and partner with you to provide a custom exclusive line just for you. Watchman Cigars has all your cigar needs. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Watchman Cigars 1991 or email Leon directly at watchman_cigars@yahoo.com. That's watchman_cigars@yahoo.com. Or check out the sponsors section of our website. All right, so let's go to Mario Lopez. So Mario Lopez was on a radio show with Candace Owens on the Candace Owens show last month, and the two were talking about a weird trend that was coming out of Hollywood. I was about to say Harlem, citing Charlize Theron's upbringing about her 7-year-old daughter Jackson, who identifies as a transgender girl. Theron, 43, has said that the child, when she adopted the child, said that I'm not a boy when she thought it was a boy, and so now she's raising the child as a girl. And so Mario Lopez kind of spoke out a little bit about that. Here, I'll go ahead and play his clip.
I'm trying to understand it myself, and please don't lump me into that whole.
No. I see you're not doing that in your household.
No, I mean, I'm kind of blown away too, and look, I'm never one to tell anyone how to parent their kids, obviously, and I think if you come from
Maybe
a place,
you should though, because you seem to be doing something right.
Well, thanks. And I always say, if you come from a place of love, you really can't go wrong. But at the same time, my God, if you're 3 years old and you're saying you're feeling a certain way, or you think you're a boy or a girl, whatever the case may be, I just think it's dangerous as a parent to make that determination. Then, okay, well, then you're going to be a boy or a girl, whatever the case may be. And it's sort of alarming. And my gosh, I just think about the repercussions later on.
Right.
So they went on to say that Candace isn't a parent, but she nannied. And she said when she was nannying, she was hanging around children that said that they were mermaids, that they could fly, that they could jump off the staircase thinking they were Superman. So at 3 years old, I don't think you can make that call of what you feel like. My personal opinion is I think that's way too young. I would think that even at 18, that would be a tough call to make. But you're an adult technically then at that point. If you feel like that's where you need to go, then that's where you need to go. But at 3 and 7, my kid thinks he's Spider-Man. Like legitimately will say, I'm Spider-Man, look at me. Am I going to treat him as Spider-Man? Absolutely not. So I don't think that they're old enough to make that decision.
Eric? You can refuse to speak up on these topics.
You have the right to remain silent.
Not usually. No, I completely agree. I think it's dangerous to let a 3-year-old determine what they want to be in that context. I mean, let them jump around, think they're Spider-Man, Superman, whatever. But I just think it's dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm going to be controversial here.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
You're going to take a different view?
No. I think this is child abuse. I'm straight up say it.
Yeah, completely agree.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I completely agree with that.
I think kids, I mean, I can't remember being 3. My earliest memory is 4. When my grandmother died. That's just one of those memories etched. So I couldn't tell you what I was 3 or 4, like feelings. But just with my kids, you kind of get to see the experiment of kids growing up and just natural habits. And I remember my youngest now came up to me with an inquisitive question. Dad, why can't I not stand up and pee? Mm-hmm. Simple question.
You can, but it's going to be a little
it's not. Basically, you do that at the truck stops.
Sure.
just not in our house. That's what the guys do.
Do you see the lot lizards?
But, so she had the question, and then she continued with that. Dad, I wish I had one of those things.
Sure. Which it's a whole lot easier.
Yeah. Referring to a man's male appendage.
We understand. You don't have to.
Don't blush. Anyway, so so that question popped up, and she's was fixated on this question,
no pun intended.
Fixated on this question for about a week until that's an eternity in a kid's lifetime.
Right.
But, so, what would I do if I was in California in the West Coast? Would automatically a kid being that inquisitive about urinary tract, flow. All of a sudden, I need to transition that kid into another gender? I mean, is that the logic behind it?
I mean, I think that's a little bit of a stretch, like you say. Like,
I don't know.
Pull it out to, no pun intended, to the extreme. But I think in this case, it was, I feel like I'm the opposite sex. I feel like I'm a girl. And then you just, keep stoking that fire and encouraging that, then you kind of are. You're like, well, I made this decision. I might as well keep going with it.
But where I go with the child abuse thing is a lot of these parents are now pushing for medically induced, chemically inducing their kids to stop their natural chromosomal hormonal growth,
right, and
injecting them with a foreign substance to their body. Yeah. And that makes no sense. I mean, you would not let a kid decide, if they want to continue their life with cancer. You know what I'm saying? You don't let kids make decisions for themselves.
I mean, a little stretch, but okay.
No, I mean, it's not. There's actually been parents have actually been in jail for that actually have gone because the kid did not want to go through chemotherapy treatments. Yeah, there's actually one in California that's coming up right now. The parents are being charged with murder.
Wow.
So, but of course, it's California.
Sure.
But we don't allow kids to make simple decisions. I'm glad that my parents had enough balls to not let me do the things I wanted to do. I mean, granted, who knows what I would have been.
Yeah.
I mean, I like playing the robber and cops and robbers. I like, I like to fist fight. I mean, I'm glad they didn't let me do things and set some parameters. I mean, people talk about communism. Well, the microcosm of communism is a family household. It is my rules. No one goes outside that. I provide for you.
Right.
I will provide for you, and it's going to be exactly what I tell you. Now, I'm not saying you don't let individual growth happen.
Sure.
But there has to be some kind of range. I mean, if my daughter wants to become a paraglider without using a paraglide, I'm going to say no.
Right.
Because I know the repercussions of that. And I think that a lot of these parents, there's not been enough time that progressed with parents injecting their kids with testosterone or estrogen or progesterone, stopping their cycle, stopping their testicular growth, things like this, to where we know what's going to happen in 30 years from now. Yeah. We know that transgenders that have transitioned in their teens have higher rates of osteoporosis when they get in their 50s. So there's a higher rate of suicide in that community. Now, once again, I could care less. You be what you want to be. I don't care. But we don't allow kids before 18 to smoke. We don't allow kids 18.
That's where I was going to go.
Or 21 now. We don't allow them to buy.
Is 21 to smoke?
Yeah, I think so, right? Huh? Or no, some states. Texas. I think Texas just passed that thing.
I'm sure.
I don't know. I'm not. All I know is I'm not 21. But let's just say go with 18. Yeah. We don't allow them to drink or smoke at 18.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why we should allow them to inject themselves with hormones before 18.
Yeah, and I mean, people change their minds constantly. Every day I'm like, well, I like this. No, I like this. No. I mean, and I'm an adult. Like, what about a kid? Like, good gracious. So let me ask this question, though. My kid brought up, Spider-Man. I brought this. What were you as a kid? Like, what did you pretend like you were? For me, it was a Thundercats. Like, I was like, I'm a Thundercat. Do you guys remember Thundercats?
Yeah. I had the animals. You connect them all together, didn't you?
Voltron.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Yeah, Jonathan, did you pretend to be anything?
Truck driver.
A truck driver.
I'm going to go the Lone Ranger or Fred Kirby.
Ooh.
Bring that up.
Who's Fred Kirby?
You don't know who Fred Kirby is?
No. Do you?
I'm lost on that one.
I don't know.
Must be a local Charlotte guy.
So the local Charlotte? Absolutely. The Fred Kirby show.
Oh. See, I'm from South Carolina. We didn't have TV.
Man, when I was growing up, and he was from Monroe, Indian Trail. Oh, wow. Fred Kirby. Look him up.
We'll have to.
Well, I've had no opinion on this, like really until I listened to Blair White. She's a transgender.
Okay.
YouTube commentator, kind of conservative, and has spoken out a lot about LGBTQ, whatever community. Mm-hmm. And she is totally against, I guess where it came into it was with this TLC TV show, My Life is Jazz or Jazzy or whatever it is.
I was thinking it was the band. Or like the group.
Yeah, maybe.
Could have been. Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Yeah,
could have been. But on this show is the life of a transgender female who was obviously transitioning her life, going through everything. And she was before age of 18.
Okay.
And was actually having the reassignment surgery. And Blair White first kind of came onto the scene with this because she was against it because she doesn't believe
prior to 18.
Yeah, because she believes that, number one, it stops a lot of natural growing that you need. You know, your frame is going to be smaller. You're not going to have enough flesh to reconstruct whatever body part that you just decide.
There's enough.
No, actually, there wasn't.
There's not enough elbow skin.
Actually. So there's things like that.
That's called a weenus, by the way. It is called a weenus.
I have a massive too, so mine's stretchy. But no, so there's
Jonathan wants to say something.
I had a chance to think about it. There was a week. You guys remember Darren's Dance Grooves? It was like the TV thing, and this guy was like,
you're gonna have to come to the mic. If you're gonna talk, you gotta come to the mic.
Yeah, there was a TV commercial. It was like they sold you this Darren's Dance Grooves, and for about a week, you know, he had these like black baggy pants, and I think it was like Timberlands or something, and
parachute
got the whole
pants.
get up, and I like downloaded it on, you know, whatever website online, and for about 3 days, I was super into. Yeah, it was actually Kazaa, you know. So I did that, and then after about 4 days, I realized I wasn't Darren, and I didn't have any dance grooves. So I totally changed my life projection at that point. So yeah, now I've had a chance to think about it.
So now you're not Darren the dance groove guy. All right, well, there's that.
Everybody wants to be Darren the dance guy.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. So, so Blair White, I kind of look towards her trying to reach another perspective because obviously I'm just a
white
cisgender white Christian male. So, you know, I have my
dangerous man in America.
Exactly. So I look to someone else for kind of perspective in that community and for her to be staunchly against it because there are repercussions to your body physically. I mean, I understand you want to be happy in your own skin, but what if you shorten your life by 30 years because of the hormones or chemically altering things? I mean, that's premature suicide almost.
I mean, at the end of the day, and I don't know. I'm just asking a question. Like, why not just let your body grow and then make the transition there? Like, I don't know.
I think a lot of the stuff coming out of California, they're looking, especially with the parents and the kids, trying to make the decision for the kids. If the kids make a claim like that, is they want to. It's like this social calling card, or it's kind of a trophy. It's kind of a trophy. Well, my daughter or my son saying, so we're gonna support and we're gonna make him or her. Him or her.
Yeah, it's so much. I want to support, be my kid's best friend, be my kid's best friend cheerleader, instead of like being a parent and saying no. It's more like we've all got to say yes to whatever the kid wants.
I want to be liked by my kids.
Yeah,
but I want to run that idea out though. The idea of the trophy, because I think that can be very, very insightful. Because as an adoptive parent. In the adoption community, you have two types of parents. You have parents that genuinely don't care. They want to be parents. They're not trying to save the world. They are trying to add a member to their family because their heart has a void. And then you have people out there that want to garner some type of accomplishment in the realm and eyes of their society, their culture, their friends that they hang around with, their country club people, could be church, whatever, people that want to have that kind of presentation in front of the people.
A badge of look at me.
Look at what I did. So I wonder for the parents if part of it's that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
And the deepest root of it is I want to be liked and I want to be loved and I want to be accepted. And I think especially in that community of California, there's that whole, if I stand out against something, I'm not going to be accepted. I'm not going to be, because even as you pointed out before the show, is even Mario Lopez is backing up and saying, whoa, hold on, maybe I didn't fully mean that. Because again, the repercussions of I'm not accepted, I'm not loved, people don't like me.
Well, look, regardless of opinion, and I could disagree with someone turns us in, they're a parent that is currently transitioning a kid. Doesn't mean I don't love you. I love you. I love your kid.
Right.
I'm sure you'll probably disagree with me allowing my 7-year-old to shoot a handgun in a range.
Right.
I mean, it happens. Get over it. That's just my parenting style. Granted, my kid doesn't want to turn into the handgun. She's just using it. I'm coming from a place of love. I don't want to see a generation that's messed up. I've also think we have a heightened run towards total erratic and lunacy. I mean, I have friends of ours that they have 3 kids. One of the kids is now non-binary, and the other kid is transgender. How does that happen? I mean, it's a kind of a cool social experiment to look at because, you know, the whole gay population community, the whole world makes up anywhere between 1 to 1.5% of the whole population of 7.5 billion people on Earth. But my friend's household, a family of 5, has 2 out of 5.
Well, I think, again, it goes back to I want to feel accepted and I want to feel loved and I want to be part of a group and a community.
No, I agree.
And I think that people are constantly striving, and whatever is the hot topic of the day, like, oh, I want to be part of this group, so I'm going to become non-binary because that's the cool thing to do. You know, we can maybe move to that group. Or, you know, I want to be different, right? Like when I was growing up, it was like the goth kids, like, ooh, they're so weird and they worship the devil, you know, but they were part of their own clique. Yeah, but they were all different. Yeah. You know, they were the different people. So maybe that's just the gothic kids are the new the non-binary kids are the new gothic kids, or other way around.
Yeah, but
like I want to be different just to be different.
Yeah, but hopefully they don't come up with a Hot Topic store for that, you know, because that's where all the goth kids shop was Hot Topic, Spencer's.
God, I love Spencer's, by the way.
That was an awesome store.
I couldn't walk into there until I was like 19 because I was going to hell.
Yeah. You know? But they had all the cool magic tricks and the stink bombs. That's where I was all the time.
I didn't know they had that. I just knew they had nudie stuff in there.
They didn't even have nudie stuff.
Well, that's what I was told.
They had the big posters.
They had posters, but they weren't nudie. They were close.
Close.
But they weren't.
They had shirts that said like fart, in other words,
right.
on it.
You're going to hell for that one.
I was straight to hell.
Mm. All right, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will have Eric from 1812 Barbecue. We're going to take a break while we eat this barbecue because it is looking and smelling delicious. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. Hey guys, I really hope that you love Southern Fried Philosophy, but did you know that you could actually get paid for listening to this podcast? I know that it sounds insane, but it's true. We discovered this free new app called Podcoin, and it literally pays you to listen to podcasts. Here's how it works. You listen to podcasts, and you earn Podcoin while you listen. Then you turn that Podcoin in for gift cards like places like Amazon or Starbucks. Or if you're a good person, you can even donate it to charity. The more you listen, the more you earn. So here's what you do. You download the app right now on iPhone or Android, and I have a special code for you. Simply use our code Southern Fried, and you get 300 Podcoin just for signing up. And if you listen enough to us on there, you can get a cappuccino at Starbucks or an Amazon gift card on us. So go ahead and listen to this podcast or virtually any podcast on Podcoin and sign up with our free code Southern Fried. It'll change the way you listen to podcasts. All right, we are back, and you're listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. In studio with us, we have Eric Line from 1812 Barbecue, the newest sponsor for Southern Fried Philosophy. We are so excited to have him on board. I'm telling you, he brought us some pulled pork, some ribs, and y'all, I'm legitimately telling you, the stuff is legit. So, Eric, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Fat and sassy.
Do you want to talk about this said barbecue? Because it's delicious.
Where to start? You have a unique rub.
Careful. This is a family show.
Hey, we're saving this for the SFP.
It took me a long time to develop that rub.
Did you? Yeah. So is it like Colonel Sanders with 13 secrets?
Is, but the 14th will hurt you.
I like that. So that's the first thing I noticed was the rub, and it's for a pork, it's very heavy pepper, which I like. I really like that. But yeah, so obviously, let's back up. What made you want to get into barbecue?
Yeah,
I just kind of fell into it. My dad and I started doing barbecue competitions 15, 20 years ago. So my dad's always cooked on the grills and stuff, so I've always been around him doing that. And, you know, when like Hugo came through, you know, we lost power for 2 or 3 weeks, and everybody brought their food over to our house to cook. So my dad stood out there, and we cooked forever. So we'd do, you know, clam roast and all kinds of stuff. So
smoked peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Everything.
Actually, that sounds good.
So, I mean, it literally 20 years ago, we got a little smoker and started doing little local competitions, doing real well. And it's just something him and I and my brother would go, and my mom would come out. So it's kind of a family thing. And we just like to go out, drink moonshine, drink beer, and smoke barbecue all night long.
It's a great excuse.
And you know, honestly, when we do our competitions, we'd always be asked, do you have a restaurant? Do you cater? And for 20 years, it was no, we do it for fun. And I guess over the last, so I'd say 5 years, we kind of backed out of it a little bit, and just life going on, things like that.
Sure.
The Big Red, which I called it Big Red, was just sitting over there in the yard. And I was like, I'm going to pull it back out, and I'm going to start doing some stuff. And I'd cook for birthdays and things like that. And I'd start doing competitions again, and I started getting this response. So I started working on the rub that you're tasting tonight. And I guess about 2 years ago, I started hearing, again, do you cater and do you have a restaurant? No, we just do it for fun. Well, you need to sell this. You need to sell this. So I heard that for so long. And this past year, actually year and a half, January, I figured, okay, well, I'm going to try it. So I went and bought some barbecue and filled the thing up and put a post on Facebook and sold it all.
Oh, wow.
And then they started saying, hey, when are you doing this again? So I'd go get some more barbecue another weekend and cook it and say, hey, I'm cooking. And I'd start getting orders. Hey, I need pounds of this. Well, we're doing a party, dude. And so it's kind of over the last year and a half, not quite 2 years, it's kind of grown legs of its own. Yeah. So I'm excited to see where it goes. It's for a long time, you always hear, in your family and your friends and everybody's like, man, this is the best barbecue. This is the best barbecue. But when you go out to the competitions and do events and, you're winning competitions and people are calling you and emailing you or texting you saying, hey, man, that's the best barbecue I've had since Texas or wherever it is. And, then I'd do some barbecue and ask the family, what is it really that good? And they're like, Eric, it's whatever you're doing. So
it's like your mom says, like, oh, this is really good, but at the end of the day, like, it's really bad. Yeah. And now when you get real feedback, not real feedback, but you get feedback from people that are unbiased, then you're like, oh, okay, maybe I got something here.
But the real feedback is when you have a transaction, barbecue for money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. That's the real feedback. That's the only feedback I ever care about. You know, I could care less about Yelp or Google reviews or Facebook reviews for our business. If I have a transaction in dollars, that's all. That's the only review I need. So
when you're running out and people are calling you saying they want more, my brother, my uncle, my friends, they want some. It's just a whole nother level. And like I said, I'm a year and a half into really building 1812 barbecue that didn't really start out as 1812 barbecue. It started out as Big E Smoke and Q. It's kind of evolved into the 1812. We can get into that later, but it's been a long process, but the 1812 thing has been in like the last year and a half, 2 years.
I need to stop this and do a little bit of clarification right now for our listeners that are above the Mason-Dixon.
Yeah, I was about to say, we need to clarify what is barbecue.
Okay, so above the Mason-Dixon, you pretty much, I'd say probably west of Texas or west of Middle Texas, because kind of West Texas is kind of oddball. But yeah, so, and also our international listeners like Scotland, UK, Australia. So, so barbecue is not pulling out the old gas grill, the old charcoal grill, light it up, and then grilling a burger. That's called grilling.
Right.
So
throwing a hot dog on
exactly.
the old wiener.
So our northern listeners, that is not barbecue. That is grilling. You may now take barbecue sauce and baste your cheeseburger with it. Now that's called a barbecue grilled cheeseburger. That's not barbecue.
Right.
We're talking about taking unattractive cuts of meat, traditionally pork butt, which is a shoulder.
Why do they call it pork butt if it's the shoulder?
Because they used butt barrels to store it in. That's the reason why I also call Boston. They had I'd have to get back to the history of that.
All right, that'll be the next segment.
But so the shoulders. Here in the South, we use a lot of shoulders. You can use a whole hog. That's kind of also a North Carolina, Eastern Carolina thing. Also kind of goes down into South Carolina. Texas is big in brisket. That's a hearty, hard, dense meat. So we're talking about taking these unquality meats traditionally that were just kind of fodder for poor people and slow roasting these meats for hours and hours and hours over wood at very low temperatures that break down all that sinew, that muscle, that grit, that the fibers in the meat. And just makes it just something that's just awesome. Yeah, like a pork butt. A pork butt takes 8 to 12 hours, depending upon what temperature you cook it at. And you need every bit of that time to break down all those necessary cartilage and fat and everything into it. But it comes out like pork barbecue. If you give me that or maybe a choice of filet mignon, I would probably choose, pork barbecue just because of the flavor. So, I just had to clear that for our international listeners.
And on your business card, there's a nice picture of a brisket.
That's my brisket.
That's legit.
That's legit.
You ain't joking.
And that's what I hear from the Texas people.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't have a traditional North Carolina style barbecue. I travel for my day job, so I eat barbecue all over the United States. So I take little things. I may take, my brisket, is obviously basically based on a Texas brisket, but I'll go to St. Louis and try to pull a little something in from St. Louis and South Carolina. I do the whole hog. I love doing whole hog. Man, it's hard to get. It's hard to beat good whole hog. So I try to take all these things in. So I've got kind of a blend of these different areas that I try to keep in my barbecue. I don't do a specific North Carolina or upstate or whatever. It's barbecue to me is not
where your favorite
area.
is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all my favorite. That's the problem. So, and again, barbecue is, it's how you like it.
It's very subjective to the individual. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully the way I do it, everybody likes it. So,
yeah.
And you're going to have, I'm not going to please everybody. There's going to be somebody that, it's not for them, and that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jonathan, Brandon, like when we did the bourbon trip, some people liked one bourbon and some people hated the same thing. Like, it's just different. People have different tastes. Yeah. But I'm telling you, this stuff is really good.
Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to try that brisket because, like you said, it's really hard to find good brisket here in North Carolina.
It's really easy to mess up a brisket.
Yeah.
And it's money down the drain because you're looking, 20 plus pounds at, $4 a pound. That's a lot of money that you're dedicating to throwing a smoker. And I mean, you have to cook it for some length, but man, that temperature gets up on you. You know that. I mean, it dries it out or whatever. It's just garbage.
Just wait for the jiggle.
That's right.
That's what my wife says. Where did 1812 come from?
1812 is my MOS from the Marine Corps.
Okay.
So I spent almost 8 years in the Marine Corps.
Wow.
2nd Tank Battalion. So 1812 is a tank crewman for the Marine Corps.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Thank you. What's like, you mentioned like you take little pieces from like St. Louis, Texas, whatever. Are there like, what are you taking from these different places? Just different spices, different ways to cook, those type of things?
All of the above. Spices, little ways to cook, little nuances on what to do and certain cuts of meat. I mean, I like the St. Louis style rib. And that's basically what I do. I mean, I like it all, but typically when I'm doing ribs, I'll do the St. Louis style. But I just
explain to our listeners because I know you have spare ribs.
Well, the spare rib is kind of the whole rib coming off the backbone. All right. And then the St. Louis is just the piece right off the backbone. Mm-hmm. So it's the same, but once you cut that spare off, it turns into a St. Louis cut. It's just the way you cut it basically is the difference of the meat. But just pull little things from each area. It may be a little bit in the rub. It may be a little bit the way I cook, the way it may wrap something or not wrap something or do something that most areas carry on. So
when you say wrap meat, because I throw it on the grill. Like I'm not a smoker. Like I don't have the patience.
You do the northern barbecue.
And I don't say that it's barbecue, but I just don't have the time or patience. Why do you wrap the food? Like what does that do for it?
Well, it depends on what you're cooking. Like a brisket, you can either wrap with butcher paper or you can wrap with aluminum foil. Now in Texas, they're going to call aluminum foil the Texas crutch because it kind of steams the meat.
Okay.
So I don't wrap mine with aluminum foil. I do butcher paper, pink butcher paper. So that butcher paper on the brisket still lets the brisket breathe. So the brisket's flexing and contracting. So once it's cooked or once you have the bark the way you want it. Now I've done briskets where I didn't need to wrap, But it gets to a certain point with the bark. If you get the bark where you want it, you can wrap it up, protect that bark, and then finish the cook-off wrapped up in the butcher paper. And once it's done, just take it off and put it in the hold. So, but the pulled pork, typically at a certain temperature, you'll wrap the pulled pork up and finish it in the aluminum foil. Okay. And that kind of the moisture that you want to keep in the pork butt, aluminum foil helps that. And
also, it speeds up the cooking process.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there for a long time.
To a certain
extent. Because you get that temperature like 165, 167, and it stops for a while.
Oh, it stalls, yeah.
The stall, if you want to eat sooner, you wrap it, and it kind of breaks through that stall a little faster.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can wrap like ribs. You know, you have there's a competition rib or just a restaurant rib. Competition, you certain amount of time, you wrap them up. You do other things to the rib to make it taste good and that flavor profile. But a lot of times when you're cooking for bigger groups of people, you don't have time to wrap 50 racks of ribs.
Sure.
I mean, it'll kill you.
Yeah.
So you just kind of low and slow let it go till it's done.
Nice.
For the novice out there that's probably thinking about going and getting a smoker, because there's so many smokers out there now.
Yep.
I mean, it's just crazy. You got the ugly drum smokers to the
black
Brinkman $59 one that you can buy, or a little man tape smoker, whatever they call them. I mean, and also you have the high dollar ones that are $3,500 Myra mixing, water smokers. I mean, so what would you suggest for just the Johnny Warrior barbecue warrior?
And just to point out, probably the best one would be the Black Warrior smoker, since we had them on the show.
Yeah, they do make a good smoker though.
Yeah.
So you had a manufacturer here, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I would suggest starting off with something, Lowe's and Home Depot. You can get these smokers, the offset smokers, and these little cabinet smokers. Mm-hmm. You can test the waters on that. But if you really want to do it, you're not really going to get the full effect of smoke and barbecue if you're doing an electric or a pellet, because once you put it in there and you turn it on, you set the temp, you just walk away for 8-10 hours.
Forget it. Yeah.
That ain't, I mean, you might put out some good barbecue, but barbecue to me is you're fighting fire. Mm-hmm. You're managing the fire, the wind, the smoke, the elements. And that's what I love to do. Mm. And then the finished product, you work your tail off for a long, long period of time. And then to see the response, hopefully most of the time it's good. Right. That, what you've done the last, 14, 16 hours is worth it. But you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot and get a nice offset smoker. I've still got mine at the house. It's old, what is that? Little offset smoker from Lowe's. Lone Star or something like that. When I didn't have Big Red, I would couple butts on that. I mean, you're talking about battling fire because those things don't draft real well. You're burning a lot of fuel. You can get bad smoke real quick in there. So, but start off in something like that. Don't go spend $4,000 or $5,000 on a smoker and try to think, I'm going to do barbecue, because it's not that easy.
I would love to get a $5,000 smoker and then just put hot dogs on it.
I've done it.
People do that.
I've got a Klaus or close, depending on how you say it. I've got a close smoker, which is about 42-inch diameter, 10 or 12 feet long, 2.5 foot smoke box. And I've filled that thing up, and where we got room, we'll put burgers and hot dogs or whatever. The Big Red, we do grilling on that thing, because the Big Red was had a little propane. Had a small smoke box, so I couldn't get it up to temperature with just the wood. So we'd have to supplement that with the propane, just a tad bit, just to keep the heat up. So you're talking about managing two fire sources. And I think this is where I learned how to manage my fire on the Big Red, is just because I'm managing two separate sources of fire that are competing against each other in the elements. When it's cold or it's hot, you got one going up, the other one going down. So it's a constant battle to try to keep them level. Yeah. And I think, my dad teaching me on that smoker is where I learned how to do most of my, fire management and things like that. So.
There's so much that goes into true, like, smoking. I mean, even like, for my basic stuff, I bought a pit barrel cooker just because it was like all one shot. I didn't want to build my own. So I bought a pit barrel. It comes out, it's $2.99. You got the stand, you got some chips to throw, whatever. It makes some good quality stuff, solid stuff. But the things with when you're true smoking, I mean, even on charcoal, just being at certain parts of the sea level, like talking about air draft problems below sea level versus up way above sea level, two totally different things. That's one reason I like barbecue, and I think it's one reason as Southerners we love barbecue, we love bourbon, we love things that take time, things that the average individual cannot do.
Yeah.
It's true artistry, and that's one reason I think bourbon and barbecue pair well too.
Yeah,
it's perfect pair.
Yeah. You're using natural elements and creating something that's highly desirable and delicious.
Yeah. So you're saying, smoking meat in Columbia, South Carolina is going to be a completely different process than in Asheville.
Yeah,
because of sea level.
Absolutely. And like doing it here versus Colorado, it's going to be a totally different thing.
Wow.
The product's going to be different because of the elements. You may have to increase your cook time in Colorado or decrease it due to altitude, due to airflow.
Wow.
And it also depends on what type of wood. What's your moisture content in your wood?
Yeah.
So your fruit woods or your hardwoods, mixing the two, it's and back to the original question. It's Oklahoma Joe.
Oklahoma Joe from Lowe's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is, for a beginner,
yeah, great.
That's a great smoker for somebody just wanting to try it out. Mm-hmm. It's a great little smoker.
Is it a secret to what kind of wood you use?
Nope. I use oak and pecan.
Okay.
Now I've used other woods. I've got a huge, I'd imagine it's 40 years old, fig tree in my yard. So 2 years ago, I cut it back and let the wood dry out a little bit for 6-8 months to a year and put that in there. You talking about sweet meat. So I've got it. It's now grown back again, and it needs to be cut back again. So I'm going to cut it down again this year, stockpile that wood, and have a fig wood.
I think
can I get
oak
some
is
of them figs, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Come on,
bless.
I love some figs. Yeah, me too.
They're popping right now.
And persimmons.
I haven't had a persimmon in a while, but man, figs, I can do some damage with figs, boy.
Man,
I need to work on my fig. I need to work on a fig. A fig
barbecue sauce. Yeah.
Well, there was a persimmon tree at the old house, and I ate so many persimmons that, hey, buddy, my stomach turned, but they were so delicious. Oh,
they are good. It's been a while since I've had one, though. Now, just on the wood. Now, oak is a very common burn fuel.
Yeah, and that's mostly depending on where you are. That's mostly what people smoke with is what's handy. What
kind of flavors does that bear? It's
a hot burning wood, so I use typically the oak for the heat and the pecan for a lot of the flavor. It's not a heavy smoke. It's not a heavy flavor like a mesquite. Mesquite is a real heavy, strong,
very peppery.
Yeah, very strong flavor profile. So I like that medium. I get a lot of the flavor from the rub that I've got. So I like a good neutral, sweet. I'm trying to break down the flavor profile of the pork is difficult, but it's not a real strong pork flavor. I get the flavor from the smoke and from the rub.
That's what you want. So, yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the most interesting woods that I've used in smoking. I've used apricot before, which is kind of odd.
Yeah, I've never used that. I've used cherry, apple.
Yeah, black walnut. I've used black walnut before. It kind of lended some kind of really interesting flavors. But the apricot was kind of odd because that's just an odd tree for this area. But we had that.
I will say, you know what? After eating some of this barbecue, you know what would be really good with it?
Krispy Kreme.
A pear salad. That pear salad.
Hey.
I'm thinking about that pear salad still.
Have a smoked pear salad.
Ooh, come on with it.
Well, next time I'll tell you what, the slaw, we do a slaw that is delicious.
All right.
So is it like a barbecue slaw, or is it like
no? It's a mayonnaise based slaw.
Okay, I'm in now.
But that trickery with the red slaw, I can't get behind it.
No.
You go to Lexington, and all of a sudden they're like, red or white. What are you talking about here? I don't understand what's going on.
And see, in Lexington, they chop. They got these big mallets out there.
Nope, I don't like that.
I don't.
You
typically, unless I have to, I don't touch the pulled pork with anything other than my hands. I don't use the claws or anything. When you guys saw, I just kind of put my hands in it and
it just popped
apart.
We'll post a video on our Facebook, but he literally just pulled the bone out and boop, just falls down.
That's when it's ready.
Yeah,
it's like an automatic temperature button.
So let's go back to this coleslaw. What's legit coleslaw?
Oh, it's legit.
Okay. All right. Tell us about the coleslaw.
Mayonnaise based, chopped cabbage. Got some vinegar in there.
Okay. A little bit of a bite.
It's got a little bit of honey in there. It's got a little bit of 4 or 5, maybe 6 different spices. The wife makes the makes the coleslaw.
All right.
And I'm tell you what, when I get compliments on that, we get a lot of that's the best slaw we've ever had. So,
what other sides are you bringing to the table?
We do right now. We do the slaw, the cowboy baked beans, and typically cowboy baked beans we'll do with brisket. So if I don't have the brisket, I'll pull the bacon and the ground beef and put it in there. But typically, I try to want to do the cowboy baked beans. Take the brisket and put the brisket in there. Smoked Gouda mac and cheese.
Oh, buddy.
You had me a Gouda.
So we also do, which is a huge hit. We do a 3-inch single serve pecan pie.
Ooh.
And it's not store bought.
You smoke them?
It's not store bought.
Pecans?
No, we haven't smoked that yet, but it would be.
You're right.
I'm willing to learn. So that's something that we could do.
Right?
But
am I right?
I mean, if you could bake that in your smoker and just
yeah. I don't know. That might be too much smoke though.
Start it. Maybe you get the beginning of it. You do it hot. You do it hotter. Don't do it.
Anything smoked is better. But no, the that, and we've already had our banana pudding conversation.
Yeah, we're gonna have.
I'm gonna tell you what. It's
gonna be on.
Hey, I will be an independent judge. So I have no dog in this fight.
We talked before the show. We're gonna have a banana pudding off. My wife will make hers. Your wife will make yours.
Okay.
We'll have them in studio, and then we'll hash it out.
There we go.
I'm down for this challenge.
I know you are.
And there's one gonna be coming that. This is most of the recipes that I do or my wife does have been family recipes, and like I said, this thing's kind of just taken off. So I'm actually building my menu now.
Okay.
And when the smoked Gouda mac and cheese came from somebody asking for, do you do mac and cheese? And of course, my answer is yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna go figure out how to do that.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
So we've been doing that for 2, and it's absolutely delicious, but. It's kind of a building the menu as we go, and
Yeah.
It's one thing I love about entrepreneurship. You have a hobby, you have a desire. I don't know how much it costs to start this. You had a smoker laying around that was not being utilized. You buy some product and post some things on Facebook, Instagram, and it takes a little bit more effort than that, obviously.
Sure.
But you fill a void and you make money.
Well, what got me started was somebody had the barbecue, and they was like, hey, can you cater my wedding? I was like, how many people? He's 300. I said, sure.
Yeah.
So 300 people for you is nothing, or you're just like, yeah, I'm going to wing it.
It was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. So, and I knew when I said, yeah, I would have to go out and buy a new smoker because Big Red, there was no way possible to do
that many butts.
It was butts and ribs.
Ooh.
And I think it was 150, 160 pounds of pulled pork and like 53 racks of ribs.
Wow.
And plus the cowboy baked beans and the sides. And no, excuse me, it was a coleslaw and smoked mac and cheese.
Wow.
And that was my first run at it. 300 people.
So when people, I like,
you're not starting off slow, right? You're just going for it.
Well, this is the reason why it drives me nuts when people complain about not being able to better their station in life. Everyone has the capability of doing it. I'm telling you right now, if you have an apartment with a microwave, I'm sure there's something you can do to earn a few extra bucks.
Hot pockets.
Exactly. You make the best damn hot pocket in your apartment complex. Whatever. You can improve your station. That's the reason why there's so many opportunities out there. And I love this. I love the stories of that. I love people that do this and fill a void. They follow a passion. Obviously, you haven't quit your full-time day job yet, but who knows? You could be reaching the crest next year.
But I'll tell you this, even if 1812 barbecue goes nowhere and does, does nothing business wise, I'm still cooking barbecue because that's like I said at the beginning, this was my dad and I, my brother and my mom. We would do these competitions, and I've got 3 kids, so I'm hoping that that's something that one of these kids are going to want to do with old dad.
Yeah.
So whether 1812, whether anybody buys it or not, I'm still going to do barbecue. So, it's, and I usually don't do something like I said, when the guy said, will you do my wedding? I'm not going to say, I can't do that.
You'll figure it out.
I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, you don't do anything half-a.
No.
I know that much. He brought up enough food to feed all of us in the studio, and there's still a ton left over. So, so you mentioned awards, competitions. What have you won?
Well, the most recent I won the Harrisburg Barber Brew. Okay. Right here in Harrisburg.
Bless you.
This past Barber Brew. Just got that. Thought I mumbled. Yeah. So we went out there, and it was and this was the first part of the year. I think it was actually November.
Okay.
I think. I can't remember. But anyway, we went out there and did the barbecue and come out first place. And
wow.
It's funny because the judges after the competition would come over, and we were doing brisket for the crowd to give to the crowd and stuff like that. So I had a line around the corner for the brisket, and the judges came up, and he's like, well, so how do you do this barbecue? I'm like, well, I just went through the process. And he said, I'm going to tell you something. That's some of the best barbecue I've had and judged in 30 years.
Wow.
Listen, I'm originally from Texas.
That's a lot of what I hear is I'm from Texas, and that's the guidebook. But sometimes I hate saying that, but that's what the guys. He goes, I'm going to go get you the judges' score sheet, and he brought it back, and there was 18, 20 teams, I think.
Wow.
And the numbers between first place and second place was a pretty big gap.
Wow.
So that, and I think that was another one of the, I might be onto something here. It's a North Carolina Barbecue Association sanctioned event. So if they're,
that's like the Southern Baptist saying there's a convention. Yeah.
If they're agreeing with it that well, maybe I'm onto something. So we'll run it till we'll figure it out, and that's what we're doing. Figuring out between the everything we do. I do my own rub. The sauce that you guys had, that's my dad's sauce that he's developed. We also have a Alabama white sauce.
Oh, you like the Alabama white sauce, don't you?
Oh, wow. It's phenomenal. But that's a funny story because my dad had one of his best friends that did barbecue. Okay, and he had this Alabama white sauce. Barbecue sauce, and he would never give anybody the ingredients. So when the guy passed away, he passed that to my dad.
Oh, wow.
So my dad has held that close. Wow. My dad wouldn't even give it to me. I'm like, hey man, I need some of the white sauce. How much? He won't give it up. So he recently, in the last several months, gave me the recipe for that.
Wow.
I'm a big Carolina mustard fan, though. That's what I grew up on.
There's a little mustard influence on my barbecue.
I do. I do. Oh man, I knew that was it. Put mustard powder.
No, it ain't mustard powder.
Mustard.
What is, so for some of our friends that don't live close to Alabama, what is the Alabama white sauce?
It's a mayonnaise-based barbecue sauce.
Okay.
With cayenne pepper. It's spicy.
Yeah.
Typically, they do it on chicken. And I think there's a restaurant down in Alabama that supposedly came up with a recipe.
Gibson's.
To start at Gibson's. Yeah. That on his chicken, he takes the chicken directly off the smoker, off the pit, dips it in the white sauce, and then puts it back on the smoker.
Come on with it.
Phenomenal. So we used it as a chicken sauce. But I started putting it on my barbecue, man, and we did a competition, and we'd give people options of, okay, this is vinegary, this is sweet, this is the Alabama white sauce, and everybody backs away from the Alabama white sauce because they hear mayonnaise-based barbecue sauce. It's one of the best sauces you can get on a barbecue.
I equate it to like going to the old Japanese Express restaurant, going, I need some yum yum sauce.
Oh,
there you go.
Yum, yum.
There you go.
Love
there you
yum,
go.
And they're like, how many? You're like 12, and they're like, oh, that'd be $2. So then that's what the Alabama white sauce is like. It's that mayonnaise base, that kind of good fatty.
Yeah,
it cuts through the other protein. Yeah, but it's good. Yeah, it's like when I go to the Japanese restaurant, it's a question of like, just give me the yum yum sauce with a little bit of rice, because you just want to mix the rice inside the yum sauce. Yeah,
that yum yum sauce.
Yeah, I could put the white sauce on just about everything. It's like my son; he puts the yum yum sauce on just about everything.
Wow. What's your personal favorite? Like yum yum sauce, not the yum yum, the white sauce. That's what stuck in my head. Yum yum sauce with a Krispy Kreme donut.
I'm down.
Alabama Hot Pocket. The Alabama white sauce. Do you like the vinegar based, the molasses based? What's your own personal favorite?
I'm more of a dry rub.
Just guy. Dry, just no dry. Sauce.
I have a little tagline with my barbecue is no sauce needed. You know, I it's there for you. No, I mean, if you want to put it on there, you don't hurt my feelings.
Right.
But I don't eat personally barbecue sauce on my barbecue. I like it, you know, but I'm more of the dry rub.
Okay.
Dry rub guy.
Let's talk about your dry rub here. You brought some here for us, so people can order this online.
Yeah, you can go to my Facebook or Instagram and 1812 barbecue and put in an order if you'd like.
Okay.
I think that's 7 or 8 ounces there.
Okay.
I usually sell it for like $7.
Okay.
So, but I've got bigger containers and like I said, this is a process I'm working on getting this kind of marketed and getting the food labels and all that kind of stuff worked out.
Nice. And all that information will be on the sponsor section of our website, so you can check that out there as well. So fantastic. And then you also sell the barbecue sauce?
Working on that as well.
Working on that.
Again, that's another item that when we go and people, I did an event 2 weeks ago at a Wolfenhof friend of mine owns Wolfenhof in Mint Hill, and people were coming up to me saying, I can drink this barbecue sauce. So it's another item that we're looking at finding a bottle and I haven't even named the barbecue sauce yet. And I'm kind of waiting. That's my dad's recipe. So if you know, he's got to get in on it and see what he wants to do, and I'll carry that forward with whatever he wants to do. But we need to we're trying to get a bottle figured out and a name figured out and all that kind of stuff.
I would just say for any listeners out there, just we'll contact Eric Line from 1812. If you buy his barbecue, he'll throw in some free sauce with you. So that's how we'll ship the sauce.
Do what now?
So if they order catering from him, he'll just drive to Kansas City, cook for them. You know, have money, we'll cater.
Sure.
Have truck, we'll travel.
Yeah, and then he'll throw in some free sauce. That way you don't have to pay for the shipping on the sauce.
There you go.
Just book the catering.
Yeah,
and you'll get the free rub too because it's on the meat.
Is there, for our listeners that are in the Charlotte, Concord, Matthews, Mooresville, is there a place where you do you travel just in a certain location, or will you go wherever?
I'll go wherever.
Okay.
I mean, you know, I've done some stuff in Greenville, South Carolina. So, you know, depending on what's going on, yeah, absolutely, I'll travel. And you know, the rub, we can go through the flavor profiles of that rub.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's you know, I think you
popped
mentioned
yours open already, right?
Yeah,
you mentioned something about you know, a certain flavor profile on the meat. This rub, and I don't know how it happened, but it gives you 3 separate flavor profiles for each type of meat. So on the pulled pork, you're getting the sweeter, kind of sweet tinge from it. You still get the pepper. Pepper comes through on most all the meats, but the pork rib, it gives off more of a spicy flavor profile. Now the brisket, you get the full sweet and spice, and it's the same rub. You know, however it works, I don't know. I'm not that smart.
That's chemistry.
Yeah, that's like, again, I'm not that smart. It's just that's how it worked out, because you can taste the three meats, and everybody said, "Well, do you have a rib rub or a brisket rub?" No, it's all the same rub, but it gives you 3 different flavor profiles.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Accidents happen.
Yeah. I'm so bad at math, chemistry, anything really that you have to use your brain for, I'm horrible at. So I'll just take your word for it and try it on the different ones. Fantastic. Eric, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for bringing
really
dinner.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Dinner.
I appreciate it, guys. It's a pleasure.
My wife's out of town, so I didn't know what I was going to eat tonight. Nice surprise, yeah.
And guys, legitimately, this barbecue is fantastic. If you need a catering event, you have an event coming up, Jonathan, you should have used this guy for your wedding. You know, we'll try. You know what? Just call it off. We'll start all over. We'll get a new wedding booked, and then we'll put him as your caterer because we got to do that. Seriously, go to our sponsor section of our website. You'll see all of his information there. We'll put it in the show notes. You can find it there as well. But if you want a fantastic rub, we're working on the sauce. If you need a caterer, use 1812 Barbecue because this stuff is fantastic. I want to try the coleslaw now.
Thank you. We'll get it. We'll get it in here.
I'm sure you can ship internationally too for rubs too.
We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah.
Again,
we'll figure it out. There you go.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well, thanks for joining us, Eric. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you guys for the invite.
Yeah.
Once again, we appreciate you guys listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy. You can go to our website at southernfriedphilosophy.com. You can see all our show notes there. So if you guys missed anything with Eric or 1812, you can go there, click on the episode, and we'll basically link you there.
Yeah.
And just go to
Easy
check them
peasy.
out. Yeah. Also, go to our Facebook page at Southern Fried Philosophy. Go to anywhere you listen to a podcast, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeart, Spotify, our new favorite one, Podcoin.
Cha-ching!
Yep. So you can go to any of those podcast aggregators. Just click on there, do the old magnifying glass, do search Southern Fried Philosophy, subscribe, give a like, whatever. Once you subscribe, our new episodes will always load up Monday morning or sometimes early if we accidentally do that. But yeah, you get those podcasts first thing for your drive in on Mondays, and we appreciate that. Just keep on sharing those favorite episodes, and like I've been mentioning for the last few things, in tribute for my donors family, Lisa, and my heart donor Jamie, we appreciate you guys. Go out and be a hero in someone's life. Make sure you got your organ donor checked on your driver's license or state ID or your moped license, whatever you may have. Just make sure you got that organ donor card registry. You can be a turd in this life, but you can save someone if you don't happen to be around for too much longer. And like I said, my hat's off, my heart out to my donor family, and we love you guys.
And as always, keep looking up.